Are you leading a high performer who's brilliant at their job, but absolutely brutal to work with? You've probably wondered, can a leader who comes across as condescending, overly aggressive, and belittling actually change? And what would it take for someone like that to look in the mirror and take responsibility for how they come across? Today, I'm sharing a true story of an executive leader who did exactly that and completely transformed her leadership credibility because of it. A few years ago, I was attending a conference, and while waiting for the breakout session to start, I struck up a conversation with a woman seated next to me. We'll call her Barb. After the usual chit-chat, Barb asked me, "What do I do?" And I responded, "Well, have you ever worked for a leader who's really good at what they do, but how they come across, how they treat people is abrasive, condescending, and it affects retention, office morale?" She nodded with a knowing look. I coach leaders to replace abrasive behavior with emotional intelligence. Without skipping a beat, Barb said, "I used to be an abrasive leader. At the time, I was a COO of a company, and one of my employees actually described me as brutal." Since Barb was being so open, I asked her, "Well, how did you turn it around? How did you change your behavior?" She paused, and with remarkable clarity, she responded, "There were 3 significant events that happened in my life that motivated me to change." The first event Barb told me about was going through a painful divorce. She said, "Bonnie, after my divorce, it was a wake-up call for me about how my behavior affected my marriage, and I was determined not to repeat those same destructive patterns. When I remarried, I did a lot of inner work, a lot of personal reflection to change." Now, taking a step back, when I heard Barb say that, it made me reflect on the work with so many of my clients. Many high achievers often have a significant personal or professional crisis where they finally realize their intense drive is actually driving people away. The second turning point that Barb shared was after she remarried and she became a mother. She decided, "I want to be a different parent than how I was raised in the family I grew up in." She said there were constant arguments, tension in her family, and as she continued to do her own personal work, she wanted to be a different type of parent. And she realized how her upbringing had impacted her controlling behaviors in order to bring calm out of the chaos that she saw growing up. She didn't want that to impact the kind of parent that she became. And her third turning point that she's described as the most significant, after a few years of doing her own personal work and reflection, she was in a new role as a COO with a different company. And she called a previous employee that she highly respected to ask him to come work for her. And when she did that and made that call, the previous employee paused and said, "You sound like you've changed. You used to be brutal to work for." That created pause for Barb to realize, wow, how I came across and the impact, the reputation that I have as a leader is not who I want to be. And that deep awareness then caused her to call other previous employees and actually apologize. That she realized that her fiercely competitive drivenness in order to get results had negatively impacted her leadership credibility and her reputation. And now she realized that she no longer wanted to lead through fear and intimidation. Rather, she wanted to start leading with respect and civility. So now let's take a step back and take a look in the mirror for ourselves. As the author Nathaniel Branden says, the first step towards change is awareness, and the second step is acceptance. Barb took both steps. If you're listening to Barb's story and a voice inside of you is whispering, that sounds a little like me, here's the good news. Your drive is an incredible asset. And at the same time, if people are walking on eggshells around you, your drive is sabotaging your success. Your tone that comes across as condescending and belittling actually makes people not want to be around you. And the demands that you put on people, where you come across as my way or the highway, make people shut down and not speak up with their ideas. And when your temper goes from 0 to 10 in a matter of seconds, it drives people out the door, affecting your turnover and even your brand reputation. I get it. It takes a lot of courage to look in the mirror and admit the way you treat people is brutal. The good news is, like Barb, you have a choice, and change is possible. As an accredited Boss Whisperer, we have an 82% success rate in equipping leaders to replace abrasive behavior with tact, empathy, and respect without losing their competitive edge. I've personally witnessed leaders transform the way they treat people and become leaders that employees want to work with. These same employees have said to me, seeing the change in my leader makes me more aware of how I'm reacting under pressure and how I treat my coworkers. If you're ready to build a leadership legacy you're proud of, or if you're an HR leader who wants to help a high performer transform their leadership style and how they communicate, change is possible, and it starts with awareness. Let's talk.